All right, welcome to another episode of Inappropriate, Earl, where we interview people from the world of music, acting, wrestlers, and porn. We have a gentleman here who, with the exception of porn, has done all of those things. Restaurateur. I mean, you know him from the Scream movies, the Vampire Slayer, Buffy, the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, where, of course, he got to act with the great Rutger Hauer, whose biography sits right there on my shelf. And I'm most excited to talk to him about his tenure as the WCW heavyweight world champion. Probably definitely the most famous person I've ever had in my apartment and podcast next to Tawny Katane. Please welcome everyone, the one, the only, Mr. David Arquette.
Oh, thank you, Earl. How can I live up to that introduction?
Well, I've been obsessed with your family since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And your brother at the time, now sister, was in my favorite video of all time, She's a Beauty by the Tubes.
That's right.
He was the little kid,
Alexis,
following around the mermaid in the video. And, of course, I've had crushes on both your sisters.
Yeah.
Rosanna.
Of course.
Who
Desperately Seeking Susan, The Big Blue, After Hours.
And the song by
Rosanna by Toto,
who I think she was dating at the time, Jeff Porcaro, or hanging out, whatever.
I think they're maybe engaged. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Something happened.
Steve Porcaro, actually.
I thought it was Jeff, but
it was Steve.
That's pretty cool to have one of the legendary songs of the early '80s named after your sister.
It's true.
And
she
then
was a muse for a lot of songs. I mean, it's rumored that In Your Eyes was also partially inspired by her.
I mean, that's how cool is that? And then your sister Patricia, Medium,
True Romance,
and of course one of my favorite, Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it was 3 or 4,
it was 3,
or maybe both. Was she in a few of them?
I think it was 3. I'm not sure if it was 3 and 4.
And now you come to the scene. Your family's probably like the modern day version of the Barrymores.
Well, yeah, I mean they're the Barrymores. I mean, obviously they go back. My grandfather actually was an actor too. His name was Cliff Arquette, but he played a character named Charlie Weaver on the old Hollywood Squares. So we do have roots in like vaudeville. My great grandparents were in vaudeville.
Right.
Augustus Arquette and Millie, his wife, and my great grandfather and grandmother. So it goes back.
I mean, you have a rich history, and now you're kind of delving into stand-up.
A little bit, yes. I'm just trying to figure out my voice, more so for whatever the fuck's going on in my head.
Which are many things.
Which are many things, absolutely.
But you have an advantage over any stand-up because you have the acting chops to tell these great stories, like you do late night at the Comedy Store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And your stories are like meeting Henry Winkler when you were a little kid and on the set. And it's like, totally. I can't tell a story like that.
Well, Don Barris has been really cool about letting me go up and just sort of, get comfortable and try to sort of figure some of the stuff out. And you've been really amazing in giving me some pointers and just kind of trying to figure it out. I've always loved comedy. I've always followed it. And I've always really been fascinated by it. I've always listened to comedians and how they structure their stuff. So it's fun to just kind of get comfortable in being able to be up there and just not, beat yourself up too much.
And it's neat for us, we're all fans of yours. And, I think we first met at the Roast of the Iron Sheik, where you were the host.
You were the Ultimate Warrior.
They said, hey, if you dress up as the Ultimate Warrior, the Sheik is so crazy, he'll think it's him. And he did.
He did.
And you were the host.
That was fun.
And you were a great sport that night. Here you had all these unknown comics, myself included, giving you shit. No. And all of us would kill for your career, and we're making fun of your movies or whatever, and you were an awesome sport.
It was fun. I mean, everybody was really great and really, I'm low-hanging fruit for a roast. You know what I mean? I got a lot of things you could smack at.
Yeah, but you have a career, past, present, and future that any of us who were roasting you would kill for.
Oh, that's sweet.
You're always on TV. I mean, I turned on the TV the other night, and you were. I think it was made this year. The Clown Face Killer.
Yeah, Happy Face.
I'm sorry, Happy Face Killer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like you're always on. The Scream movies are always on. The WCW was or WWE Network was replaying your tenure.
No shit.
Has
wow.
I've heard. I want to get right into that.
Let's do it,
because I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Yes, sir.
And you had made the movie Ready to Rumble.
Yeah.
With Oliver Platt.
Yeah.
Who was
Scott Conn,
Diamond Dallas Page, who's doing great now with DDP Yoga.
Absolutely.
And he's like rejuvenating certain wrestlers. Like Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, who's like my favorite.
Amazing.
And he was in a bad way for a while. And
Scott Hall was around when I was wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, you were in the last great era of wrestling. So you make the movie. I'm assuming Eric Bischoff, Vince Russo, who was the booker at the time, say, "Hey, we want to put the belt on you."
Yeah, well, they first I was just promoting Ready to Rumble, and I went out there and they just had me do this one bit where I jumped into the ring and then I got slammed down. And it got such a pop and such a reaction that they said, listen, if you stick around for the pay-per-view, you could possibly get the strap. And so it happened. I mean, I was a wrestling fan as a kid, so it was kind of a dream come true to be able to tour with these guys and just see the whole world anyway. And to me, there's an element of carnival to it, which is like vaudeville. So it had roots in just my heritage and just kind of seeing that. And, wrestling is all based in these family generations and dynasties of these people that are growing up and learning this and moving around and they dedicated their lives and they've tore up their bodies for it. So I respected it completely, but it was just like an amazing opportunity just to be a part of it and get out there. But the fans really kind of turned on me for it, and understandably so. I was saying the whole time, it just shouldn't be me. I shot one time, went off script, and I just said I shouldn't be up here. Booker T should be the champion, and he was like, "Thanks for that." Like after I got down, and then a couple months later, he actually was the champion. So it was kind of cool to just throw that out in the universe.
But I mean, I can imagine, I'm just going to pick a guy's name out, a guy like, say, Sting, who, wrestling for 20 years at that time, 30 now. He must have wait a minute, this guy's an actor. Did you ever
cry? So much Sting as much as some of the other guys who've never gotten the opportunity to be a champion. Sting's been a champion a few times. A lot of these guys had. So those guys are kind of more versed in it all and understood it was more of a business and it's just bringing some hype to it. The guys who'd been there for a long time and probably would never be the champion got really pissed off. And they were like, this fucking business. And they were like, wanted to beat my ass and shit like that.
Like, say, a guy, I'm just going to name a name, a guy like, say, Buff Bagwell, who would be like, who the fuck is this?
Yeah. Not him specifically.
Right, of course.
That,
someone like that.
Who's, done this his whole life and has dedicated his life to it. It's generational and then just, sees this bullshit happening. And I could understand but for me, what I got to do was, take an airplane with Hulk Hogan, and have him tell me stories about, everybody and Andre the Giant, and he would tell me stories about Andre would hold a beer can with two fingers because it was just his hands were so fucking big.
Right.
And it looked like a little, like a little V8 can or something. And he fucking down these things in seconds and he'd drink a bottle of Jack Daniels or something just in a sitting. Nothing because he's so huge that he wouldn't even get that fucking wasted. And all these stories and sitting there with, tons of people. I mean, Diamond Dallas Page was sort of my mentor in the whole world of it. And he really sort of protected me and he was there. But, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair was really fucking cool. And we were partying one time in one of the hotel things, and he was like, listen, fellas, and he put his arm around me. He goes, he's one of us, okay? Just back off. And it was kind of amazing to get that sort of a pat on the back. So, there were certain guys that were really cool about it, and others that I understand how they could be pissed.
Well, it's like if you were doing a major movie and they brought in, I don't know, say Buff Bagwell, say, hey, David, he's going to be the star. I mean,
it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens all the time. The longer you're in this, I've been acting professionally for about 27 years, so it's not like, something that is just popped up. So, when you start seeing it, start seeing these roller coasters and stuff, and your career goes up, your career goes down. You just have to like roll with it and not take it personally, and just kind of have fun with it. Keep it light and stay honest and real. And if you let that kind of shit get to you, you'd be like, who are all these fucking people getting all these fucking roles?
Right?
Whatever.
Do you read the reviews of any of your films or TV shows?
Not that often. No, I really don't. I don't even really go on the internet all that much and look up anything. I don't have any social media anymore. Because people were such assholes, and I just don't. It's not what I'm doing it for.
Yeah, no. I asked your assistant, who was awesome and helped setting this up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, does he have a Twitter account? So I can like tweet out his. Yeah. He's like, no.
I know that's the problem. You know what I mean? When it comes to like promoting something like this or something you have coming on, I don't have really an avenue for that anymore. But I don't know. There's something good about it too. So you don't end up doing shit that you just, people attack you on.
Because people are mean and like jealous, frankly.
I get it, but I don't know. It's just not fun.
Yeah, but you're so nice though. I mean, that's like, it made me like that much more of a fan of yours. Like, you're at a level where you could be a dick to people and they'd have to take it, but you're not. And like,
I try never to be, unless somebody's really sort of pushing the boundary. Then I'm like, dude, just chill the fuck out.
Right. And that must be hard because, all the time you must get a paparazzi who's a little aggressive with you because they want to see you implode.
I'm pretty good with paparazzi now. I mean, I had this one experience after I had my first baby, like my daughter 9 years ago. I was really aggressive, like, stay the fuck away because you get into this parenting mode and you're like, just back the fuck off. But then I saw myself and I was like, getting angry and my kid's right there and I'm getting angry at the camera, but it looks like you're getting angry at the people out there, the fans. And that's not who I am. So then after that, I become way more chill. And now they're so cool that if I'm leaving my club and I've had a little too much to drink, they'll just like not take pictures.
Right.
They're like, it's cool, David. They're like, well, they're looking not to fuck me over now because I always treat them with respect now. And we're all cool. And, I get it. They're trying to make a buck. We're all trying to make a buck.
Yeah, who isn't?
Right. I mean, I get it. 1,000%. I'm down with it. I don't know. I like people. You know what I mean? Try not to be jealous, because that only holds you back.
Oh, sure.
Especially in acting. And I saw my dad do it for 45 years. He was an actor and, he'd have some bitterness or sadness about certain people who would always like get the role above him. And it just never helped. There's nothing about that aspect of I think so in comedy too. That's just helpful. I don't think there's anything helpful about jealousy. I think there's something helpful about respect. Right. You know what I mean? When you could see somebody and what they're doing and get to a place of like, oh, I get it. They're really on it. They're real. They're like doing something interesting. So when you go to that place, it's a lot more beneficial than the other side, which just really has no benefit, just getting like kind of fuck, they're always the one who gets the girl.
Right. No, I mean, I used to be jealous when friends of mine would get comedy gigs I wanted or whatever, and then I started rooting for them, and you do feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, I mean, I'm sure, have you ever lost out on a part to a friend or maybe someone you didn't even like?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Completely. I still think like in my head, like I'd be better for it. You know what I mean? That's the confident part that you kind of need. You know what I mean? And I just try to hold on to that. Like, if studios or networks don't sort of understand my value right now. I mean, that's sort of on them.
Right.
Because I still have to have my confidence that no, I'll crush it. You know what I mean? I've got experience. I'll go in there. People like me. I'll have fun. I'll be loose. I'll elevate the project. If they don't know that, then they can cast these sort of newer people, and hopefully they'll get a good show going. But you got a better shot with me.
Yeah, but
That's just the way to like actually have your confidence,
right,
without then going to the jealous place against one person or another, or in a studio or anything. You just have confidence about it and just know, because that's always what it comes down to. To me personally, it's confidence, it's being real and grounded, and it's being able to play with the moment and be loose and discover stuff that might not be on the paper.
And that's why I wanted you here, because you sometimes at the Comedy Store get into these, not rants, but these almost Tony Robbins-esque type, Joel Osteen rants where I'm just fixated. You talk about living in the moment.
Yeah.
And, at the Comedy Store, it's a fairly negative place. I don't know if you see that side of it.
A little bit. I've seen some of it.
But
for the most part, don't you think that's a waste, though, that side of it?
Oh, I do, and which is probably why my own personal career is maybe not gone as far as it could, because you get caught up in the negativity there. But
Right.
Which is why I think we all look forward to you coming in there late night.
Yeah.
Because you're like a breath of positivity, and you kind of get motivated watching. You get pumped up. Because, like I said, you're this great speaker, and it's almost part pro wrestling, like a little bit of Ric Flair's.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what wrestling's all about. It's what rapping's all about. That confidence of like, I'm the greatest man in the world. You know what I mean? And I actually believe that, because I have to, because I'm a wrestler, I'm a rapper. You know what I mean?
Right.
Not really, but I'm who I am. You know what I mean? So you're the greatest person in your world. And everyone out there is the greatest people in their world.
Right.
And I just think, collectively, if we start encouraging that more than, why the fuck are you wearing that? You're an asshole. Why do you say that? You're so stupid. If that's our dialogue that's going on in the, tiny tubes and wires that are making up the internet,
Right.
then what the fuck does it matter? I think we have way more strength in numbers, and like when we all like encourage each other to be greater. It's just like raising a kid. You can either to tell a kid that he's a piece of shit, and then he's pretty much gonna maybe even turn out that way, or like prove you even worse. Like you think I'm bad now, watch how bad I could be, or you just fucking fill them with love and just tell them how great they are and just boost them up, and you're real with them, and you call them when they're being assholes. But, you always encourage that better side of them. And then, if we just did that individually with everyone, even in the comedy stores and all this stuff, it just helps. It helps the mood, and it's just more fun.
Oh, sure.
Like,
and you're a fun guy.
Yeah, that's all I like having. I think the rest of it's a waste of time.
Like everyone lights up when you come into the store, because it's like... It's like just a big hurricane of positivity and fun, and people are like, "Oh, Dave's here," and then everyone goes watches you, and like,
that's so cool. And I know people have been really kind about it, and I don't have any jokes. Really, so it's hard because
who cares?
I'm trying to find. Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to find it. And I'm trying to find like where that funny stuff is. But I was saying something on like Howard Stern and stuff about God being at least half woman,
It's possible.
It's got to be something, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just one of like the little rants. But then I saw Louis C.K. on Saturday Night Live, and he articulated it in a way that was so interesting and so thoughtful, and you could see why he's such a master at what he does. And it was just great to see, like, oh, he made jokes out of it,
right?
Instead of just making a statement. So that's sort of where I think I have to go. But I also do it for kicks and just for fun, and like to go out there and meet, and see you guys, and just hang out at the this mecca of comedy.
Well, I mean, you've got, I don't know if you should do just jokes. I mean, you've got so many great stories and such a rich history in the business that just you telling the one story about meeting the Fonz it wasn't a joke. It was just, oh wow, what a great story. I mean, I think most of us could sit there and listen all day to those stories.
Yeah. I mean, growing up in this town, I grew up here since I was 5 years old. And, you know, my dad was like a jobber kind of actor, you know,
Right.
45 years in the business and, you know, studied at Second City and taught at Second City in Venice and studied with Paul Sills and was part of the Spolin Players and the committee and just like serious improv stuff. So that's where our roots were. And then just growing up in LA and like the dark side of Hollywood where, you know, I sold maps to stars' homes and, you know, I was like 11 years old and the dude ends up like jerking off while he asked me for a map.
Well, wait, let's not just breeze through that story. That's a podcast story there.
That's a podcast story for sure.
So you're, you know, like Tatum O'Neal and Bad News Bears, you're on Sunset.
Completely. Around the same fucking time. No, literally when that movie was out. I think it was like exactly. So there's this guy named Al that was like the pimp to all the kids that sold maps to stars' homes. And back in the day, it wasn't really a Hispanic thing. It was like a Bad News Bears young white boy thing. For some reason, it was just like these trashy little white boys that were all out there. And we were sitting, he would collect you at the Sunset gas station, a car wash.
Right.
That's right between like Crescent Heights and Fairfax. And
Right.
it's right on Sunset. And everyone would hop in this minivan that didn't have any seats and it would be stacked with all of these star maps signs. And I always say like, remember, star maps backwards is rat spam. I don't know. That's like
It's true.
It's true. It's just a good thing to remember. But so we went out there and they teach you something called the Viffle. And the Viffle is how many maps have you sold? So you have a $2 map, a $5 map, and a $10 map. So what's your Viffle? You'd say one, you know, I'm doing finger signs. So it'd say one, you know, $2 map, two $5 maps, or you know, three
Right.
$10 maps or whatever. So he could just drive by and say, what's your Viffle? And you could just throw up your hand signs. So the first day he puts me on Sunset and Highland right in front of Hollywood High School.
Which at the
And
time
I crushed it.
isn't a great neighborhood at that time.
No, it's not a great neighborhood, but I didn't care. I mean, I didn't care at all. I literally made like $35. And for me back in, you know, late 70s, early 80s, no, it was, it was the early 80s. That was huge. I mean, I took home probably $20 or something, and it was insane. But the next day, he put me on Sunset and Fuller. And it was right in front of like the old Van store or something was there. And it was right next to Rock and Roll Ralph's. And I'm sitting there, and I was there forever. And nobody was coming. And, it's getting toward lunchtime. And finally, this like convertible pulls up, and it's this dude with like dolphin shorts on and no shirt. And I should have known at that point that it wasn't a pretty scene. But he said, well, what kind of maps do you got? And I said, well, for the $2 map, you get this, but for the $5 map, you get this, but the $10 map, you get Walt Disney and you get Lucille Ball and you get all these people. He's, oh, give me the $10 map. And I was so excited. I reached in my bag for the $10 map, and I go to hand it to him, and the guy's jerking off. And I'm like, and I like run, and I go to grab my big sign that I could barely carry. It was taller than me at the time. And I start running, I'm screaming, and my friend's walking down, and the guy takes off. And then I got totally freaked out, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And they called Al, the guy, and he picked me up in a car, not in the van. And I was a little freaked out by that. He made me sit in the back of the car, and he was sitting in the front. And then he took me in one of the back alleys off of Sunset. And then he gave me this whole speech, because this shit must happen all the time. And he's like, next time you have to look him in the eye and say, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you? You've got problems. You should scream and ask for the police and say, this guy's, jerking off or whatever, screaming all this shit. And I was like, okay. I thought the guy was going to fucking attack me right there. So I was all freaked out. I told my parents. They, instead of like saying like, oh, that's too dangerous, 11-year-old kid selling maps and stars homes, they gave me an air horn. Just an air horn. And they put me back out there the next weekend. and I'm sitting there with this air horn, and my friends like grab it from me or like blowing it in my face, and I'm like, give it back. And then finally, I get back to they finally drop us off on the streets, and then there's like nothing left in the air horn, and I just was so freaked out when everybody would come out that was about it for my Maps to Stars homes.
Well, I think you've turned out okay.
Yeah. Well, now they haunt me. Now, with my ex, we got on the Maps to Stars. So
well, that's good if you're on them.
I guess so. It's a little bit of a justice.
You're probably on the $10 map, I would imagine.
I don't know. It'd be funny to look.
And speaking of your ex, I love how amicable you guys are.
I mean, thanks, man. She's the best. We have a production company still together.
I mean, in a world of maybe not so friendly divorces and custody situations and just breakups in general, let alone marriages, it's so neat to see you guys like be legitimately friendly toward each other. And
thanks, man.
Like, I saw something that you said about her current date or whatever.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard a celebrity or anyone non-celebrity say that about their ex's current.
Well, the fact of the matter is, like, when it all happened, I was heartbroken. I was like, I thought we'd be together forever, but she actually was right. You know what I mean? We just weren't right for each other that way. We're better friends. We just are. I'm wilder than I was within the relationship either. I've become more true to myself, where I'm just a little bit wilder. I'm just a little bit like myself. I'm just
right. No, I got you.
Bit more of a
free spirit,
troublemaker, free spirit, not bad trouble, but fun trouble. So yeah. And then, we loved each other. We still love each other, and we still have a production company and work together all the time. And became a point where it was just like, she had the better hand in the card game. Wow. So I sort of left it up to her, and I said, you figure it out. And then, and then presented to me. And then she did, and she was generous. And then I was generous in my response, and I made it easier to like just make it all work.
Because you are a producer on Cougar Town?
I am. I'm not actively involved in it so much anymore, but I was instrumental in saying, like, you have to do this project.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and I don't know, it just kind of happens sometimes when you just get involved with something early, you just kind of get tied to it. And then at some point I was like, well, maybe just take my name off of it since I'm not involved with it anymore and this and that. But everyone involved was really cool about saying, no, you should stay on it. So
well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone loves you.
I don't know about that, but a lot of people, I made some enemies.
Well,
rightfully so. I mean, I have horrible stories about throughout my time in this city that I've done shitty things for sure.
Well, everyone has a skeleton or two.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been in the entertainment business at your level for 27 years,
I had a restraining order against me from Alyssa Milano when we were like 18, 17.
She must have thought you were a hockey player.
No, we were dating for a little while, and then I was such a dick to her. She's such a sweet person. She's an amazing person, like in general. But I was such a dick, and then she like started dating this other dude, and then I saw him at the Roxbury, and I fucking like kicked her car or something. So then I went on an audition on the last season of Who's the Boss, and it was at the same studio, and they had put they had flagged me for not to be able to go on the lot, and I had to audition for a different thing. Like it wasn't at all related to her, and I didn't know I had a restraining order against me. But at that point, then I found out, so I couldn't go on the audition.
But now you guys are friends, or
we're friendly. Yeah. I mean, friendly, or if I see her, yeah, absolutely.
You would hug her or whatever.
Yeah, I was the asshole back then. So.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
And now you've become this just restaurateur, actor. I mean, tell us about Bootsy Bellas. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a happening scene on Sunset.
Yeah, Bootsy's is right on Sunset across from Bo on the Soho House, and it's open Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. It's just a big, crazy nightclub. We have puppets in it because my father and grandfather love puppets, and they left me puppets when I was a kid, and it's just a way of sort of having some visual entertainment. And you can never really see Michael Jackson twerking, unless you're at Bootsy's.
Right.
We have the little Michael Jackson puppet twerking and like rubbing up on girls. And, we just got a Spock puppet. I order all these crazy puppets from Germany, and they come every so often. We have like the Rat Pack, and, so you got Sammy Davis Jr. and you got like, Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, and you got them like dancing at the club, but then you can also have them like, dance up on girls.
Yeah.
It just gets ridiculous. Or you have Dean like kind of stumble around like he's had too much to drink. It's just kind of funny, like little world to do. And then we have like these, crazy hot chicks, and, the drinks are really expensive. That's a problem. But, I try to, in the door, like people are assholes at the door, that kind of shit I don't like.
What do you mean? Like they come into
it's hard to get in. If you're like three guys like coming up, if you don't know the people at the door, you probably won't be getting.
I mean, who wants three dudes in their club?
Well, we want them.
Chicks.
Yeah. Well, it costs us a lot to pack our place with chicks, and the way we do that is by like, you hire promoters, and they have all these hot chicks and all these models that they're friends with, and you pay for them to go to dinner, and then you pay these guys a certain amount of money. You give them a table and let them all drink, and then you fill the place with hot girls. That's sort of the whole game.
Because then guys want to go in.
And then guys want to go in, yeah.
And they pay a premium.
Yeah, well, they don't have to pay to get in. You just have to get in. So it's best to come with hot girls. If you're a single guy and you have hot girlfriends, just come like one guy, three hot girls, you'll get in. And then if there's a couple of you or three of you, just try to get more hot girls and then space it out between the amount of guys.
Space it out.
And then come early too. That's the other thing. If you come around 12:30 or 12,
when everyone's trying to get in.
Yeah, if you come at 11, you probably get in. You know what I mean? Pretty easy.
Because I used to go there when it was called Bar One.
Yeah,
it was,
me too.
That was
the day.
Fun time.
That was it. That was when I first started going out in Hollywood.
I mean, Roxbury, Bar One.
Power Tools.
Carlos and Charlie's, which was across.
Charlie's. Oh, there's an amazing. Oh, fuck. I'm spacing on his name right now. Woody. There's an amazing guy named Woody who's been like a paparazzi for years, who's got a.
I know who. I know.
Yeah,
who you're talking
he's got
about.
Hollywood.com, I think is his thing, or something like that. And he's been posting all of these old Carlos and Charlie videos of everybody. Like Bar One videos of all the shit in the 90s is pretty funny.
Well, Carlos and Charlie's was great because at midnight on Fridays and Saturdays, it would turn into Chippendales.
Oh, shit.
So if you could go there around 1 o'clock, the girls were so frothing to be around men that it was a great scene.
That's so awesome.
I mean, I was pretty horny back then, but
hell yes.
So it was. You see, I had to resort to doing stuff like that. Unlike you, you probably walk in. Oh my God, that's David Arquette. That's
not back then.
Well, but you were like Airheads, and then Buffy, and then or a lot of TV shows. I mean, you were very recognizable. I was not. I had to result in knowing when to time it right.
Well, if you were here and seeing Earl's collection of hockey trophies everywhere. Did you ever get any hockey groupies? I mean, you have hockey trophies everywhere. You're a champion.
I mean, I don't think in Hollywood the ball hockey trophies are going to really get you a lot of ass.
Maybe though.
I mean, I have a few comedy groupies.
Nice. That's good shit.
Well, I had a girlfriend of 6.5 years, so the last while, which is why I'm so we get along to a degree, but that's why I was such a fan of.
6.5. And how long ago did you break up?
Oh, she broke up with me about 7 months ago, so it was not necessarily acrimonious, but Maybe not, but we do a pod. She was supposed to come today, be the co-host.
Oh wow!
So we're trying to do what you and Courtney are doing. Just
do you have any kids or anything together?
No, not that I know of. I mean, there might have been a time or two where I might have come inside someone by accident, but luckily nothing happened.
That's all right.
It just feels so good, but
it does. That part does.
You gotta balance out that feeling with 18 years of child support.
You have to definitely be careful
if you're not going to marry the girl.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Oh, I'm sad. Sorry to hear that. That's tough.
No, it's all good. But let's get. You got a good news. This isn't about me.
Okay. Is this about?
This is about. It's about. No, then it's about you.
Okay.
People don't want to know about my life.
Come on, of course. That's why they listen to your podcast.
And you help. I mean, right, when I tweet this out, David Arquette on Inappropriate Earl, it's gonna get monstrous numbers.
Yeah, we're gonna crush it.
But I'm happy. I like you as a friend, so I don't care if it. I mean, obviously, I want it to do well, but it's like when I had Tawny Katane on, and she's legendary, 80s video vixen, beautiful,
absolutely,
dated Tommy Lee, the guy from Rat. Chuck Finley, the baseball player. She was so nice and a dear friend now, and you're the male version for me of Tawny Katane. I mean, I haven't jacked off to you. Nice. That's her on the album cover.
I know. She is.
So
she was hot as fuck. I remember.
And still, well, she was like, the mermaid in the She's a Beauty video. I used to jack off to that video.
Right.
So
you gotta do your thing.
Well,
I've always had something for mermaids in general.
Well, that mermaid in that video had great tits.
I mean, any real mermaid, not Little Mermaids, but real mermaid.
Any mermaid that's of legal age.
Yes.
And one of the highlights of my gym going life, I go to the gym a lot because it's the only thing that, I've never had a drink or drug in my life.
Okay, I once had sex with a mermaid.
Oh, I bet.
Well, I didn't have sex with her, but I had oral sex with her while I was having sex with another girl.
Yeah, well, let's get into those stories.
Coachella. That's what happened. No, that's pretty much as it goes.
Oh, I got you. We'll keep it clean.
I mean, but that's it. But she was a professional mermaid. It was awesome.
But see, that's a story that no one. That's what you should be talking about on stage.
You need to go to Witchy Watchy Falls. Do you know about Witchy Watchy Falls?
No, I don't.
Witchy Watchy Falls is in Florida. And it is a mermaid sanctuary where these girls dress up as mermaids. You can Google it and, just go to town.
Why don't I just go with you the next time and get your? Well, you have a lady friend. I mean, I'm sure you don't go to those.
I go to strip clubs and stuff. I can still look and.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, especially at mermaids. I mean, that's what they're for. Looking at.
Yeah, I mean,
It'd be weird if we were jerking off at Witchy Watchy Falls.
Well, not really, but I mean, there's got to be some dark corners in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably not the publicity you're looking for. David Arquette's friend. Hey, any publicity is good for. Now you have a show coming out where it follows you around in between your gigs with a friend. I saw.
We did this fucking. No, we did.
Or is it not coming out?
It's not coming out, man. We shot it for the Travel Channel, and they passed on it. It wasn't what they were looking for. So I hope to do something though.
Is there any hope another network maybe?
Not for that show. That show's dead in the water, which is fine. But I want to do something with Alexis actually, because she's just such a character. She lives right up the street here, and she's just so funny and fucking crazy and artistic and amazing.
I loved her on, was it The Surreal Life?
Yeah. She was on The Surreal Life. She was also Boy George in the Wedding Singer movie, and she's coming out in Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore's next movie too, The Blender or something. I don't know what it's called. I think it's called The Blender or Blend. Right. I don't know.
What do you got coming down the pike? Any movies?
I have a bunch of weird shit that I did. I did this crazy, you said I never did porn, but I kind of practically did porn in but pretty fucking close in this movie called The Key that I did with Bai Ling. Me and Bai Ling just having sex like crazy in a total art film.
I was just on coming out on Netflix or
I don't know
something.
where they'll be able to show it. Literally, it'll have to be NC-17. I mean, I'm drinking like the finest wine off of her vagina and shit like that.
Well, that's
happened.
right. Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm not doubting it happened. That's I think that might be a little bit more than NC-17.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's no close-up penetration, but there's all kinds of fucking nudity, and it was an intense movie to do. It was a great director named Jeffrey Levy, and it's fucking crazy. It was based on this Japanese, like, he was kind of the Hemingway of Japan, and he wrote this novel that was a Pulitzer Prize winner in the 40s or something. It was so risque about a guy who finds his wife's diary and starts reading it, and he starts writing back, and he starts doing all this crazy shit, and he kind of not drugs her, but she's a diabetic, and he kind of pours her wine, and she starts tripping, and it goes crazy. It just gets nuts.
That sounds like I would love to be a fly on the wall when you were pitched this project.
Fuck, that movie is insane. So I have that coming out. I have a few movies, something called Casual Encounters, which is a funny movie with oh man.
Because I looked on IMDb, you had like 6 projects this year.
Yeah. I have
which is great
coming out, but I just don't know. None of them. I don't know. Oh, I have one studio film coming out called The Field of Lost Shoes, where I play a Civil War guy, which is cool. That's sort of the biggest thing.
Who else was in that?
I'd had a scene with Tom Skerritt.
Oh my God, Tom Skerritt.
He was awesome.
Top Gun.
I mean, totally. And he played General. I think he didn't play General Lee. I don't. Oh fuck.
Hey, you had me at Tom Skerritt.
Okay, good.
Wild Things, Tom Skerritt. I mean, now you were in Airheads, which is a cult movie, favorite of mine.
That was fucking amazing.
Great cast.
Such a great cast.
Sandler, Buscemi, Fraser, and
Farley.
Amazing. And of course, the great Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer was in
Buffy. I'm
Buffy.
sorry.
No, but Michael McKean.
Michael Richards was he?
Michael Richards was in it as well.
Do you ever have any interesting?
I didn't really have any
race conversations with him.
No. I think that was so. But I hope he's bounced back.
Yeah, well, that was the best set I've ever seen him have.
That was awesome. I mean,
it
really was a sort of poignant moment in internet kind of. It was one of the first captured on video,
like YouTube moments,
world, fucking blacklisted. It was like an insane moment in time.
Well, I think if he would have just said the N-word maybe once or twice, people would have said, okay, just got nervous, caught up in the moment.
Tourette's. He wouldn't have got Tourette'sy.
But 49 times might have been, and it's a substantial amount.
It's close to it.
And the monkey hanging from the tree line, that just didn't come off the tip of his tongue. That came from the heart.
It's not fun. It's not funny.
I mean, do you find when you do comedy or really when you're just walking around that you have to be careful to not have a YouTube moment? When you're
just try not to have YouTube moments in life. You
know
what I mean? Just in general, I try not to be a dick. Some people are coming up to me and they say, oh, I met you. And I was like, was I nice? I always because you don't want to be a dick.
Right. Well, you're the farthest thing from that. I mean,
my girlfriend, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. They see the worst in us, but
they also see the best.
That's true.
And you have you have a baby coming in a month?
I have a baby coming in about a month, yeah.
And do you know the sex and all?
He's a boy, yeah.
And
his name's Charlie West.
Wow.
Charlie West Arquette, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have to prepare for that in the next month.
We've been preparing. I just had a baby CPR class right before I got here.
And
so that's one of the big things you have to do.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course. And how do you think the with your daughter? Yeah. I mean, is your daughter really excited?
Yeah, she's excited. I get my daughter 3 days a week. So, and on the weekend, if I have something special, I can always ask to have her. But but she's really excited about it now.
Well, that's great.
She's thrilled. she's gonna have the best time.
And how's your lady friend doing with the? I mean, it's
Pregnancy. She's pretty far along now, so it's it's getting super uncomfortable for her, but she's a trooper. My whole thing is, I'd like to have maybe one more. You know what I mean?
In addition to this one coming.
So it depends on. I have a feeling she might fall in love with babies. Once the baby comes, and because she loves her. We have a basset hound. She loves basset hound dogs, and so if I see how much she loves basset hound, and once you have a baby, then you're like, oh my gosh, even more like that amount of love. So, but even if this is the last one, it's everything's cool.
Well, two's a good amount.
Yeah, and I'm glad we as sort of antiquated a philosophy it is, but the fact that the Arquette name will live on now. It's kind of important to me.
Well, you guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, this has been the first boy in this generation. So
right.
My sister Patricia had one, but obviously he takes his father's name. So
and who was fantastic in Boardwalk Empire.
She's amazing. She's the greatest.
Was Steve Buscemi, your Airheads?
I know that movie was really fun. We shot it in at the Fox Studios at that new Die Hard building,
right? The Nakatomi Plaza.
Yes, right there. And then we're sitting there, and they used to have a strip club across the street.
2020.
Yeah, and I fucking would go over there every fucking lunchtime. I think I was dating.
We don't have to name it.
Someone really interesting at the time. It was just fucking crazy to go over there with all those cats once in a while.
I might have met you over there. I don't recall specific, but I used to go over there with the drummer from Guns N' Roses.
No shit, nice.
Who lived in my building.
That's awesome.
He would always ask me for a ride and money.
Hell yes.
The great Steven Adler.
Oh, hell yeah.
Who was, it's still unbelievable that he was kicked out of that band for doing drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Totally. I mean,
that's like
you have to really do crazy drugs.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not.
It's like getting kicked out of Little League for using a bat. I mean, it's.
That's true.
But he's the sweetest guy on earth. Just kind of a lost soul, but he loved 2020. I mean, the place was great. It used to be the Playboy Club.
Fuck yeah.
Turned into 2020, and
I love that place. Yeah. Believe it. Oh well, it's like CAA now or something, right?
Yeah. I haven't been. That
still would be a good fucking strip club.
Oh yeah. Well, there used to be. It might still be there. A restaurant called Russian Roulette.
Yeah.
Where I would go to these sex parties. They would. No kidding. Yeah, it was crazy that they would have these. Sex parties once a week at these 5-star restaurants, and
for real?
Yeah, and people such as I'm not saying you, but celebrities,
like a private party,
very private, and they would have to move them every week because I think the cops were on to them, but they would have them at these beautiful Bootsy Bella type restaurants.
No shit.
Where you'd walk in and you'd see NFL players and hockey players and
that's fucking awesome.
People of your stature.
That's amazing.
Like getting blowjobs in the kitchen. So I never ate at these places.
That's fucking Hollywood for you, man.
It was very Hollywood.
People want,
Yeah, no, it was great.
Like the real shit.
So now getting back to Hollywood. Was there ever one audition, and I don't know if you can mention if you were, was there ever one gig you didn't get that you wish you got?
Well, I was really close and up for,
can you say it? Or
Arrested Development for the Jason role. And I just didn't do it.
Right. No, I mean, it's so random how they pick.
Yeah, but then that was a fumble. But there's been a bunch of stuff like that just throughout the years, like different coming close on certain things, or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter.
Oh no, I've always been fascinated, to find out that. Before Richard Gere got American Gigolo, it was offered to Travolta. And have you had situations like that where or maybe you passed on something?
I'm not sure I was officially offered it that way, but I kind of passed on the development. Yeah, bad fucking move.
That's all right, though. I mean,
No, it was just a dumb, cocky, bitchy move. I've done a lot of things that have been dumb and cocky and bitchy. Like I've done a few things that I think I've pissed some big shots off in town a few
Right.
times just by being like, I'm a little still like Hollywood street kid. You know what I mean? We grew up like literally doing graffiti and, running around the streets and like, sneaking into fucking crazy clubs at really young ages and, doing drugs and shit. So it wasn't like, I didn't play the game as like cleanly as some of the people that I've came up with.
I gotcha. Now, were your siblings ever competitive with what? I know siblings are competitive as is in a regular family, but like, was there ever a time when, like, say, Patricia would get a role or you would get a role, or where you're like, wow, like, where it not cause family infighting, but like,
not so much because my sisters are, different gender and everything.
Well, I would hope so.
And we've always been really supportive of each other. For me, it gets more to like, I get a little like, get pissed off sometimes when I see, the same way I said, like, not to get jealous of other actors. I get a little jealous of like when they cast women, you know what I mean?
Right.
And like not seeing like the value of my sister Rosanna is one of the baddest like actresses, and when they do just put her in like a dope scene in like Pulp Fiction, she just crushes it because she's that kind of actress. So I get a little upset when I don't, when that kind of stuff happens, when you see, and it's hard for women, women, it's just it's more difficult even for women than men, I think, in Hollywood.
Do you think it's because like everything's so youth and beauty obsessed that like the minute a woman gets one wrinkle, it's, she's, I'm not saying your sisters.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, but my sisters are older and
they're beautiful,
older and they're amazing. They're so beautiful. And they haven't fucked their faces up and they haven't done all that stupid shit. So, and I still know that they're still real and they're still real fucking actresses and they're really like, they're about their craft and they take it seriously and they're professional and they're like, so I get a little bit like, I always try to, if I'm doing something that they're right for, I always try to like, bring them up and get them in, and but it's always a hard sell, and then you get like, well, fuck you if you don't understand.
Right.
It goes back to like people just aren't ready sometimes to like see the cooler side of shit.
Do you think they like when you bring up your sisters for a role that the people are like, oh, you just want them in here because they're your sister? Did you come across that?
Yeah, definitely.
Or do they try and get you into things? It's like, oh, well, you just want him because he's your brother.
We always try to do, we always are trying to do that. I really want to do something with all of my family members.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Like my brother Richmond Arquette's an amazing actor, but he hates the spotlight. He doesn't want to, like, he's just completely just an actor who does it like to be honest and find the truth in it. And he's the guy, just a great like thing. He delivered the head in Seven.
Right. Yeah.
Funny, like little, thing that he did. But he's an amazing actor. So I want us all to sort of work together at some point because that would be just. It's like the Everly Brothers when they sing together. There's a certain harmony that you can never get that instrument out of anyone except these two brothers. So I think there's something like that too with acting. If you're to put like brothers together and sisters together and like in something, and then even get other brothers and sisters to do something in the same thing and just have this like real generational kind of casting, it would just be fucking dope. Like the Carradines and like, the Baldwins and us and, whoever.
Yeah. Get another family in there, But I mean, your sister nailed it on a recent episode. I think it was Law and Order, where Rosanna just killed it.
It wasn't Patricia? Was it Patricia?
I'm almost no. It was yeah.
Oh, she was great in Ray Donovan. She did.
Oh, I love Ray Donovan.
I didn't see the Law and Order though.
Oh yeah, no, she was amazing, and I mean Ray Donovan's I love just because Manny from Scarface, the great Stephen Bauer,
yes,
who also comes to the Comedy Store. He doesn't do any comedy, but Scarface, I'm a little older than you are. I think, a couple years. Scarface was like so instrumental to our age range.
Absolutely.
So when he came up there, it was very much like when you were there. It was like, oh my God, that's fucking Manolo from Scarface.
Yeah,
and he did the tongue thing for me. But
that's amazing.
Well, yeah, it was just so neat to meet people you're fans of, like you and him, and have them be nice. And like O.J. Simpson was my neighbor as a kid. He was nice to me.
Right.
They had some issues later on in life.
Anger issues.
Slight anger issues.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet OJ? Any OJ sightings?
I have met OJ in the past, and he was always like a real gentleman. Like he was always around, like before all that shit happened. He was like at charity events and shit like that. He was a real, he was a good guy.
Yeah. Just maybe took a wrong turn.
Yo. It happens all the fucking time. It's one of the major causes of homicide in our country. It's like,
Oh yeah, women, spousal,
domestic abuse and all that shit, man. It's kind of like when I get in my little rants and get crazy about stuff. But I have this one philosophy, like when I meet somebody who I could tell is a bit of a fighter still, and they're like too old to fucking do that, I like talk to them about it. I say, like, listen, think about it. Who in this fucking world is worth you going to jail for?
Right.
Like if it goes out of hand, if you fucking clock them and they bang their head on a table and they die, who's worth going to jail for the rest of your life for? Nobody. And then it just changes everything. Then when somebody bumps you in the club, it's not like you just say, sorry about that, pal. And then it's over. You know what I mean? You just don't get your ego involved. You get your ego involved in a more positive way, where then you're just not like cracking someone over the head and maybe going to jail for it. So, and then in that same respect, no woman's worth that either.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if she does something, runs around with somebody or makes you incredibly jealous, it's just not worth it. You just go find another, just like, pick your pieces back up and go have some fun.
I mean, that's what I've tried to do with my situation.
Absolutely.
There have been nights where I thought OJ had a point.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know. It does get infuriating. It gets sad. It gets like, it's an ego bruise and all that shit. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't, like, you actually get a little freedom ticket. And then I just think like people should have more fun with it, more confidence, really go out there and like know their greatness. And then you can just go have fun. Like, that's what it's all about.
See, this is why I wanted you on here.
Here we go, man.
No, here we go. We get ramping up to the Tony Robbins. Like,
here we go, baby. I'm ready. Anytime you want, I'll take you to a strip club. Take your mind off your girl. I know a strip club's not like where you're gonna meet the lady, but it's fun enough just to like appease the little, bad boy inside.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to go to strip clubs just because it's like if I go to a bakery, I want to eat.
Right.
So it's hard for me to just stare.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm just,
I'm hear you.
It's hard to get all worked up, see these beautiful bodies, and then be with you. Like as much as I love you, and I know I don't know you that well from the standpoint of we've known each other basically a year.
Yeah.
I got to be around a female. If I'm going to, I don't know.
I hear you. No, you're right. But sometimes even like just going to a strip club, getting a lap dance, getting that little fire percolated, just go to a club or go to Bootsy's and just have a little more confidence. You go up to a girl, you know what I mean? The confidence game is like everything, especially with women. It's like fucking everything.
Yeah. You
just
have
like
to act
in a casting office and auditioning for something. Like if you own it and you're fucking greatest and you're like confident and badass about it, it just changes everything. It doesn't matter like if you get the part or not. Like if you don't, they're fucking morons. You know what I mean? They just don't fucking get it. They're just, they'll cast it for their own stupid ways, but they're not really seeing the big picture. And if they would just like, have confidence. But if you just do that and you do that with girls, especially in places, and then you like treat them with respect, treat them like ladies, like do certain things. But then you like, when they start pushing you around, you also have a good boundary on how to kind of like be a little pimpy with them, not pimp slap or anything, but a little man like.
How do you do that? Give me an example.
Don't let them fucking push you around.
You stand up for yourself.
Yeah. You say, listen, I mean, if you want to get like therapeutic, I mean, if you're trying to like if you're in a relationship, it's different.
Right.
And if you're in a relationship and like somebody's coming at you with something that's making you not, tighten up inside, you're like, okay, listen, what's your intention? This is what my therapist says. I'm trying to learn this shit. But I'd say, what's your intention in saying this? Instead of me getting defensive, because I get defensive a lot, and then get to like, and then it fucking gets out of control. So you ask them what their intention is, and then you just sort of, you set your boundaries. Like, well, I'm not comfortable with that. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Or like certain things, you come home too late or whatever it is. It's like sometimes you have to be all right in being an asshole and being a bad boy and say like, well, this is how it is. This is what I need. So if this isn't working for you, you need to figure that out yourself, or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of, there's some dickiness to it, but it's also like, it's not putting up with some of the shit that they throw at you too.
And this is like, I have a lot of comics who listen to this show who, aren't great with women. So it's good. I mean, not that this is going to come out the wrong way. I love you. Not that you're a womanizer, but you've seen and done it all with women. So you know what you're talking about. 30 years of, dating and maybe even longer than 30 years. I mean, I'm sure you were doing okay. I mean, you're a good looking guy.
Thanks, buddy.
And you do have. Earl. I mean, I'm okay.
You're fucking awesome.
I mean,
that's the confidence part. You're a fucking great looking guy. Don't fucking let any chick tell you different. You know what I mean? If she doesn't like it, then just move on. Like there's an easy like, yeah, oh, cool. And sometimes when you diss them like that,
turns them on. More.
Yeah, there is an element to this like thing that. And what you're talking about, your friends who maybe aren't as good with girls or whatever, a lot of that is like, it's confidence. And it's like, it's especially if they're funny, like you have an ace in the hole.
Right.
You know what I mean? Girls want funny guys. I mean, certain girls do. Certain girls are just like, those girls, but certain girls want funny guys that are quick on their, that know how to also, be a nice guy, but it can also be a man and like be an ass sometimes.
Right.
And a bad boy,
And you're like all that rolled into one.
You try to balance it. You know what I mean? But not really. I mean, I don't know.
But you're funny. You're talented. I mean, you got a few dollars in the bank. I mean, in LA, that's important. These twats, it's pardon my language.
Anywhere, yeah.
But I mean, perceived power is sexiness.
Yeah.
It must be hard for you. Now you have a lovely lady friend.
Mail order brides, man.
Yeah.
I did a movie about mail order brides in Russia. It's called A Bride and Two Brothers or something like that. But we did it like linked up with this actual Russian like mail order website. And the girls you met over there were insane. I don't know. It's just an opportunity. I'm just saying if somebody wants to get serious, green card is also
on the table.
Yeah, on the table.
Well, I mean, I might have to go into Bootsy's one night and just survey. And,
yeah.
Because I remember the bar one days. There was always hot women in there.
Absolutely.
And, well,
I'm a great wingman, too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can imagine. Serious. I can imagine if I'm with you, if I'm seeing Breaking Bread with you, it's like, who's that guy?
Yeah. Fucking, he's a hockey ball champion.
Hockey.
Fucking got his own podcast, professional comedian for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I mean, I made a few wrong turns in life.
Hasn't.
Well,
bring that up to her.
No. You have to act like I'm a star. Like
you have to.
I'm right, not you. I mean, I walk in and
I will pump you up. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Well, you would be the ultimate wingman because your word with these twats would. Sorry, I don't mean to use that kind of language.
Well, you're in a place right now where you have to. You have to.
Right. Well,
it's like when I got broken up with, when I got dumped by my ex, I started listening to hardcore rap music. Yeah.
See, I did the opposite. I started listening to like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield.
Yeah. Well, some of that stuff is really good. And also like, a good cry. Good cry is good too.
Oh, I cried a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But then you have to put on Vinnie Paz or like fucking, Lil Wayne or like somebody even tougher, like DMX.
I mean,
like, y'all motherfuckers, I'll make me lose my mind up in here and just get.
I mean, I'm more of an 80s metal guy, so I turned to Rat.
Metal, yes. Go metal.
Or Bungie. But in the 80s, like, I gravitated towards like Rat and Motley Crue. Were you more into the punk? I mean, there was a whole scene out here.
Yeah.
What kind of music were you into back then?
Early days, I was into like ska, like Specials.
Like Madness.
Yeah. And then like Bob Marley, like it's like Led Zeppelin, and I didn't go too hair band. I didn't ever get too much into that, but
because it's such a empty style of music, but I love it. It makes me forget. Like when you listen to a Poison song, say "Unskinny Bop," there's not a lot of thinking.
Oh, that's good.
Well, for me, it's good. I don't like to think.
Yeah. I like that too.
Like which is why I like, you know, a lot of your comedy, like the Scream movies, Buffy, Airheads. It's like you could just laugh for 2 hours or whatever.
Totally.
Do you enjoy making movies like that, or do you enjoy making serious movies, or both?
I mean, I just like working.
Right.
Most of the movies I've done recently have been on the small like scale, and it's just to actually like continue to work and just continue to like, you know, as silly as it sounds, like perfect your craft. Bullshit, but you know, it is just trying to like keep active and do things that are creative.
Oh, that's silly at all, man. I mean, and I think that helps like my the people who listen to this show, like who are not necessarily struggling actors, but you know, to hear you say, "Hey, I just want to work." You know, they think, well, "Why? You've done all these great films." It's like you want to do more great films and TV
I actually do the great films. You know what I mean? The great films of my life. I mean, I've done some really cool stuff, but I feel like those great roles are still a possibility out there. And you know, I've written stuff and like worked on a script for 4.5 years, and then tried to get people to read it, and you know, they don't take it seriously. And I wrote it with another really like great writer who's you know desired out in the world, and you know, you just can't get people to focus in this town. Like it never stops. I once was on a vacation with Brad Pitt, and he was sitting there, and we were friends at the time, and all of us like hung out, went on vacations together, and he's sitting there getting pissed off at his agent because he couldn't get this role, and it was at the fucking peak of Brad Pitt,
right?
And it just clicked in my head. I was like, oh, it never changes.
Yeah,
you're always not getting the role you want. You're always still trying to work with this person that for some reason doesn't want to work with you. Like that never ends.
No, I saw that. I used to open up for Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
And he had one particular project with Adam that was greenlit, and then it wasn't. And it was like, wow. And that it's scary for me to see like guys like Rob and you, like if they fuck with you guys, what are they going to do with a clown like me? Or like, you know, not that I'm an actor, but you know, it's like, it's intimidating to see like even people of your level not be able to get a project you want to the next level or whatever.
Yeah, but then on the flip side of that, I'm with you, but on the flip side of that, there's also the paranormal activities. You know, little things that break through that are done for a dime that just crack wide open the whole business. So it's like is it Wilbur? Oh, I don't know.
Will Chamberlain, Wilbur, the movie about the rats.
Yeah, I'm getting confused. It's an FX show about a dog.
Wilbur.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
so you're on top of it.
Yeah, like a kid like that. I met that kid at Sundance, the lead guy, writer, creator, amazing actor, but he did that. He did a short film. He took it to Sundance, and now it's been on the show. Oh. It's really well loved, and it's been around forever. So there's always, you know, both sides of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's good, like, sometimes having anonymity and, like, you know, being at it and just, you know, being that real deal. And especially now with everything opening up and a lot of independent things happening or low budget stuff and things just going straight to the internet or podcasts. Like, there's a lot more creativity out there now that you can do. It's just not, you know, as sort of big budgets,
right?
And you don't get paid as much, but if you do it like consistently, then it doesn't cost you as much. If it's something you're behind. And then if it does pop, then
You're in.
The business is like the lottery. It always has been. And it's like you just sort of keep buying your ticket. You just keep working. You still stay in the game. And then if something pops, then it pops. And then you have to recognize it at that time. And then the choices you make after there are really important.
Right. Because
I've done some things where then I made shitty choices and, did like a string of commercials that, then they Hollywood's very fickle about their like coolness. So if you do anything in their eyes that isn't cool or is at sellouty at all, they'll just ostracize you. So when you get into the place where you have something that pops, then being selective is really important.
Well, I would imagine like being associated with Cougar Town helped, maybe erase whatever bad project you may have done. I'm not saying just because it's a hot show. I don't
think people think of me. I don't know.
But they see your name in the credits.
Yeah.
They go, oh, wow, I didn't know he was producing on this. Or like if you had like a cameo on, say, I don't know, a show like Sons of Anarchy, which is like a cool show.
Yeah, right. That's really good to do sometimes when the right part comes up. And
right.
Do something and then you get seen.
Yeah. Would you do like a cameo on Sons of Anarchy?
Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely.
And that's a show that was passed on by many networks. Who wants to see a show about bikers, and it's already been done, and now it's 6 seasons in. It's their biggest hit.
Right.
So, I mean, that goes along with your philosophy of never give up.
Yeah.
Act like you already have it, and you'll get it.
Yeah. Hopefully. And if you don't, just fucking keep on banging away. The thing is, people say, like, in growing up in this town and being in this business for so long, people say, like, I just can't take it anymore. I don't know. I say to them, well, listen, you can move back to Minnesota, and I can guarantee you then you'll never make it.
Right.
You can just stick around here and keep on hustling and keep it real, like do a play and stay inspired and stay real. And then there's a possibility you will. But if you leave, you won't.
I mean, that helps actually me, because there have been times I thought of not necessarily quitting comedy, but what keeps me going actually is if I did quit, no one would care.
I disagree. I think
people might be sad for a minute, like, oh, Earl's a good dude, but in a month from now, it'd be like, oh, that's just one less guy I have to deal with. But you're changing my philosophy.
Good. Yeah, because people would care, and then. It'd be their laws, if you decided not to do that. But like everything, I'm sure you'd bring comedy into wherever you went.
I try.
You're doing. Yeah.
But I just love doing it. I'm not doing it for the fame or the money. I just love doing it.
Then you're like, you already won that.
Yeah, no, I really, of course I realize if you get a little famous or whatever, you get to play in front of bigger crowds, which I wouldn't mind. But
absolutely,
I think I'm in it for the right reasons, and being around, it helps me being around someone like you who's like positive and successful and like motivating. I've been around a lot of celebrities who maybe aren't so motivated. It's like, hey, buddy, figure it out for yourself. I got my own problems, which I understand.
Yeah.
It must be tough for you to, I'm sure on a daily basis, you have friends, people you don't know, acquaintances. Hey, can you get my script to this guy? You're like, I got to get my own stuff done.
Sometimes that happens. Yeah.
It must be tough to.
I've had it happen. I've had it happen on both sides too. And somebody be a dick about it. You know what I mean? Me trying to get them to do something or get friends to reach it. Yeah, it happens all the time.
So
just don't be discouraged. You still, still keep hustling.
Yeah, that's the message of this podcast from David Arquette.
You always gotta hustle.
Actor, comic, musician, restaurateur, and last but certainly not least, WCW heavyweight champion. David, I know your schedule is insane, and from the bottom of my heart, I'm actually being real. Thank you so much for doing this podcast.
Thank you, Earl.
Dude, you are one of the good ones.
Thanks, brother.
And
so are you.
Just, it was an honor to have you here. You should have your own podcast. Maybe Inappropriate David.
Yes.
The access to guests that you could get would be amazing.
It would be fun.
So I just, from the bottom of my heart, David.
Thanks, Earl. I love you.
I love you. Guys, Inappropriate Earl. It's on iTunes. Leave a review. This will be up next week. Please support David Arquette. Go to Bootsy Bella's on Sunset. But if you are going to go and you're a male, bring hot chicks or you probably won't get in.
Support Earl.
Support Earl. Support David. Support the Arquette family. Watch the She's a Beauty video.
Yes.
Alexis was lucky enough to be close to that mermaid. Patricia, Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
David's lovely ex Courtney, Cougar Town, and her many projects. Springsteen video, Dancing in the Dark, and just David Arquette is one of the good ones. Please support this man's movies: Scream, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Airheads. Many great movies coming, many TV projects coming.
Just have fucking fun.
That's it.